what are we really doing today? We are using Tableau as a tool, and that's Tableau Public. The reason, because it is open source, and it's open source not only to create the charts and visualization, but it also public platform where you can publish your interactive work, and then you can share that link with the world wherever you want, or you can embed those visualization and your work in your portfolio or your blogs, etc. So basically Tableau Public is a completely open source platform, and it's good. So that's why we have chosen the tool Tableau Public. Just tool is not going to enough to create the visualization, right? So we have to put some data inside the tool, and then we are going to work with that data. So for that data, I have chosen the World Bank, because the reason for that is that first, generally it is pretty much reliable data and very widely accepted. That's one. Second, the indicators which are available in the World Bank data, they cover globally, so the scope is so they are globally scoped, so you will find data for all the countries, for all the regions, etc. So there is a very wide variety of data and very wide range of indicators to choose from. So we will be focusing on the data, then we will be focusing on the tool, and then we will try to bring both of these things together. And the goal is that we will convert this data into some visualization using the Tableau as a tool. So this is what we are going to do. So maybe we will be creating 4 or 5 different charts, but before we go to the visualization, we will be touching some aspects of the data as well. So like I said, there is a wide variety of indicators or data to choose from. I have focused the theme of the women development, and around the women development, I have chosen 5 key indicators which are considered to be really important in the aspect of measurement and evaluation of the development of women across the globe. So let me just show you what those indicators are. Okay, but before that, what we will do is we will be taking all of this data from the World Bank website. So that data will be in the tabular form, which will typically look like this. So we will have Excel sheet filled with so many rows and columns. Then we will load that data in the Tableau, and we will try to do something like this. Okay, so we will try to convert this data into some digestible or consumable information which any layman person can look at, they can interact with it, and they can understand it. So that's the what the end result is going to look like. Okay, what are the indicators that we are going to visualize? So there are 5 key indicators, and then there is one contextual indicator. So what do I mean by that is that 5 indicators are going to be related to the women development, and then I have added population of the country at any given point of time. So population is an indicator which is not specific to the women's development, but it is only to provide you some context. That's it. So the very first indicator that we are going to study is literacy rate of adult females. So that means literacy rate in among the women who are 15 years or more of the age, and we are going to look at the literacy rate by country and by year. Okay, so that is one. So just read through this. These are the official definitions given by the World Bank in their database. So you can have a quickly look at this definition, because it's important to understand this definition when we are analyzing this data. So the key point here is the percent of the people aged 15 and above, and this is related to the female. So instead of people, this is going to be female. Another important aspect of looking at the women's development is that, are the women working in a country or not? Okay, that's very important, because when women are participating in the economic activities of a country, they create a lot of value, and it's really important to look at this. So you can see what percent of female in any country who are at the age of 15 years or above, how many of them are employed? Exactly, the definition is economically active. And the definition of the economically active is all people who supply labor for the production of goods and services during a specific period. And here the period is annual. So we have like data by year. So when people are working, so male or female, it also matters what kind of jobs they are in. Are they in the kind of jobs which are of low value, more labor intensive, or they are getting good quality of jobs? They are able to work in an environment where they are getting high quality of work. So this indicator, labor force participation, measures are women working or not. This next indicator, wages and salaried worker, it measures into are women working in the wages and salaried positions or not. So out of the total women who are working, out of those, how many women are working in the wages and salaried situations? Okay, so this is the definition. Fourth indicator is how many children on an average a woman is giving birth to. So this is like birth per woman, and you can see in some of the countries this average is as high as 5 children per woman, and then you can see in some of the countries this average is like less than 2, maybe 1.5, 1.6 or 1.7. And this KPI really matters a lot because this single indicator looks into is basically outcome of many things. How much of a power women has in the household, how much of the power a woman has when it comes to having the constructive measures. And education is also a very big factor which might play a role into this. So fertility rate is one of the leading indicator which must be looked at when we are looking at the situation of the women across the world. And finally, we are going to look at the girl children at the time when they are being born. What is the what is the life expectancy when these babies are born? And this is specific to the female babies. Okay, so this is the definition, and as you can see, this is the number of years a baby is expected to live for their rest of lifetime under the current situations. What the data looks like. So before we start any analysis or visualization, we should have a very good understanding of what is there in the data. What is the granularity of the data? And by granularity, I mean, if this is a time related data, is the data by year? Is the data by quarter? Is the data by decade or months? That is one granularity of the data with respect to the time. So if there is a geographical aspect of the data, so we need to look at, is the data by country? Is the data by continents? Is the data by states? And so on. So that is the granularity of the data. And then there are indicators and KPIs, how they are arranged. So here we can see we have kept each indicator in an individual column. We also need to have a very good feel of how many blanks or missing values are there. Okay, so if there are a lot of missing values for any given observation or for any given country, etc., then we need to look at how to visualize that data. Because when you are visualizing the data, there are two aspects. One is the kind of analysis that you are doing, and second is the way you are going to design it. And missing data plays role in the analysis as well as the design and visualization. So it's pretty important to have a look at the data and get a feel of it before we load it inside any software and start our analysis. So this data is by country, it's by year, and then we have 5 indicators, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And finally, we have population that is there. And the range of the data is from 1960 to 2020. But I have observed that after 2018, there is a lot of missing data, and also before year 2000, there is a lot of missing data. So basically we are going to focus on these 18 years today because the data is pretty much good. Data quality is pretty much good between these years and not a lot of data is missing. Along with the country data, we also have regional averages. Okay, so for example, you can see in this screenshot or the snapshot that I have taken, the average of EU is given there. There is also average of fragile and conflict affected situation countries is grouped together, and then the average number is reported across these groups. Okay, there is also average. There are also averages available by the income grouping. So World Bank divides all the countries into 5 or 6 income groups, and within each group you may have anywhere between 15 to 20 to 50 countries depending on the kind of grouping. So the World Bank also reports all of these indicators by income grouping for all the countries whichever countries are in that particular group. Okay, and my observation was also that some of the data is missing. So that is okay, but we just have to be aware of the fact that data is missing and it should be taken care of when we are visualizing it. And when it comes to data visualization, okay, so, well, I need to switch the color again. That's okay. Okay. So when it comes to data visualization, so the data needs to be visualized in different type of charts. And what kind of charts you use? So I generally divide charts into 2 categories. One is art and one is like clear communication. Maybe this will be a little bit controversial. I should not call it clear communication. They both are clear communication. One is artistic form of the data, and one could be like more specific. Okay. And what I understand is, so it depends on the context. Let's say you are in a museum and you are looking at some art form of the data. So it could be a little bit abstract and not necessarily all the information that is being conveyed by those charts. You don't have to understand it in an instant because you are there to appreciate the art or the story behind that visualization. So they could be artistic, but here we are dealing with the women development, right? And we are trying to express our thoughts or the findings of the data to a very wide and general audiences. And this is like a very important and sensitive issue. So we should, I will not say we should, but at least for now we would, specific to the specific charts which are widely known, widely accepted, and easily understood. Okay, so I have decided to use 4 type of charts today, maybe 4 or 5. So let me show you what kind of charts we are going to use today. There are hundreds of chart types, but in my work, I generally use 8 to 10 different chart types, and that's it. Maybe at max, maybe 12 different types of charts. So you don't really need to understand a very wide variety of charts. All you have to know is these 10 or 12 different type of charts. But what is more important is that you should know which chart should be used to communicate which kind of information. That's really important. Okay. So the first chart that we're going to use today is the one of the natural choice for today's presentation was to use line chart because we have around 70-80 years data, and we will be focusing a lot on the trend that how these indicators are improving with the time. So I'm simply going to put year on the x-axis and the indicator on the y-axis, and then we are going to look at these trend charts. Maybe we can do 1 or 2 additional things. For example, if there is any low point, we can highlight it. If there is any high point, we can highlight it. But these are very small variations, and the main idea remains the same. So we are going to use line charts a lot today. Second kind of chart that we are going to use today is scatter plot. So let's say we have a hypothesis that education might have some impact on the birth per woman. So first of all, we cannot immediately conclude that this is the reason, this is the cause, and this is the effect. But if we just ignore the fact of cause and effect, and we simply want to see if there is any relation at all in the first place, okay? So we can just put one variable on x-axis, one variable on y-axis, and then we can select any specific year. Okay, so we can select 2005, and then we can put country on the bubble. So then we can see in the year of 2005 which countries are in the high literacy zone and so on. If we want, we can also put like these average lines. Then we will also be able to segment. So high literacy, high birth, high literacy, low birth, low literacy, low birth, and low literacy and high birth. So we can use this scatter plot to see the relation. We can use the scatter plot to do some basic segmentation in 4 quadrants. So we are going to use this chart today. So pretty basic, but I would like to repeat again, not really necessarily you have to use a lot of fancy things. Sometimes clear can be better than fancy, and sometimes fancy can be better than clear, depending on the goal. But right now our goal is to create a very clear communication. So you might be a little disappointed to see this super simple chart, but trust me, it's really effective, especially if we have any one variable we can put here, and then we have some categories. So we can have country 1, country 2, country 3, country 4, and then we can do some sorting based on the variable. We can have this very clear, nice chart, and it will convey the idea really nicely and the information in a very clear manner. So we are going to use this today. And then we are going to use maps today. So we have data which is related to the geography, and we can put countries, and then on the color we can put any variable, etc. So we are going to use the maps as well today. I think it will be good to see this information on a map. There are 2 kind of maps. So one is a field map, and actually there is one more type of map which is not really field map, but rather a shape map. So let's say we have geographies like this. So instead of filling it, we can just put some shapes on this, and those shapes could be smaller and bigger depending on the variable. Okay, so we probably will be using both kind of maps, or maybe shape. I think we will be using shape instead of field. That might be better, but the idea remains same in both field and shape. At least a high level idea remains the same. Deep down there could be a lot of best practices and philosophy, but that's not the goal to cover today. The goal is to create these 3-4 kind of charts in the Tableau and put them together. So this is the data, and let me make it a little more readable for you. And let me put the filter. Okay, so we have the year column, and if you see, we have all the way from 1960 to 2020. To make it simple, let me just select any one year and let's see what's in there. So 2020, you can see, so this is only 1 year data. I have selected only 2020. You can see, first of all, there is data by country. Okay, and then you can also see that country is in which region, and the country comes in which income group. So we have a column called country name, we have a column called region, and we have a column called income group. But also what we have done sometimes is that we have grouped many countries together. So for example, if you see row number 347 is Arab world. So it's a combination of multiple countries. Okay, and so when it's a combination of multiple countries, can't really tell which income group it is because it's a combination of multiple countries, and some of the countries could be high income, some of the countries could be low income. So when that sort of grouping is done, the region and income group columns are usually left blank. So that's how we know that these are the groupings. Okay. There is another grouping called world. So in the table name, you can see all the groupings are there. So if you just filter for the world, so you see these are the world averages for year 2000. If you just remove the filter, then you will have world averages from 1960 to 2020. And you can see literacy data is available for the world average from 1967 onwards. Some of the data is available from 1991 onwards, etc. And the world averages are not only available for year 2020, only for 2 indicators. Okay. So what other groupings we might have available? So one thing is clear. If income group and region is given, then it's a country data. Okay. So if I just remove the blank and only select the high, low, lower, middle, and upper middle, so these are all countries. Could be right. And if I select blank from the income group, so that means these are not countries, these are the groupings. So let me once again select any one year so that it's easy to understand. Okay. So what other kind of groupings we have? So we have, these income based groupings. So average of all the countries in the low income, average of all the countries in the lower middle income, etc. We have also some custom groupings like all the countries which are OECD members, small states, and so on. So we are not going to analyze data for all the groupings. Maybe we will use lower middle. So we will use these groupings, and also we will use will definitely use world averages because we want to visualize them. Upper middle income we want it. Then we will use some geographical groupings like East Asia Pacific, etc., etc. And these other groupings like other small states, post demographic dividend, we are not going to use them for our this specific analysis. You can use them later on if you want, but I will not be focusing on them in this particular session. So before I load this data into the Tableau, this software is available from public.tableau.com. So you would just go to this website, you enter your email address here, myemail.com, and you just download the app. And Tableau Public is open source free software, not really open source, but yeah, free. It's free. So you can download it and you can use it for your work for free. You will be able to connect with the Excel files. You will be able to connect with the Google Sheets, but you will not be able to connect with the database or SQL system because Tableau Public doesn't come with the connectivity for the database. If you want to connect with the database, then you will have to use another software called Tableau Desktop. But Tableau Desktop is not free. It's a charge. It's a commercial software. You can purchase it if you want. But also there is a good news that if you are a student in the college or university, you can just upload your ID on the Tableau website and you can still get the Tableau Desktop also for free. So Tableau Desktop will connect to Excel, Google Sheets, etc., but it will also connect to the SQL systems. So Tableau for students. So you can just Google for Tableau for students and get Tableau for free. You just upload your ID card if you're a student and you will be getting access to Tableau Desktop for free for a year. So that's something I believe really good, powerful, and I have asked many of the students, almost every student I meet anywhere, I definitely ask them to do it. And I mean, why not? If Tableau is making this software available for free, then why not to use it? And especially when it's the industry standard, it's too good. So that's about how to create your visualization. Second is how to share your visualization with the world. So that's where you need to sign up. I have already signed up, so I'm going to sign in. Okay. And when I sign in, then I will have a collection to all of my dashboards or visualizations which I have created in the past. So these are all the charts and visualizations I created in the past, and I can save them. I can just go to them, copy this URL, and I can send it to anyone, and they will be able to see it. So so it's really good. So you can create your work for free, you can share your work for free, and it's publicly available. You can even share these links with your interviewers, etc., anyone, if you are preparing for a job or anything. So I believe it's a really good platform, and if you are interested in the data visualization, you should check it out. Okay. So when you open the Tableau public, it looks like this. It looks like this. So you have something called connect on the left, and you see there are multiple options. You can even read data from JSON files or text files. And if you have a nicely formatted PDF, even the PDF file. But right now, let's just connect it to the Excel. Click on Microsoft. So this is really important. So please pay little attention here, how to connect it with the Excel. So just connect it to the Excel. Put your address here, and then select your data. And to be honest, this data is already clean. I have cleaned it up manually. Not really manually. I used another software to clean it, but cleaning data is not the focus right now. But I will show you for a minute or two in the end how I did that. Once you connect it with your Excel, if you have only one sheet, then that sheet's data will be already loaded. Okay. And you will be able to see the data like this. Okay. And once you can see, you can do the scrolling, etc. You can check out what my data looks like. So basically, this is the data connection window, and you can simply check the data out. But this is not the place where you will visualize the data. You will visualize the data in a different place. Okay. Then you just come to go to worksheet and sheet 1. Click on the sheet 1. And this is the place where you will actually visualize the data. If you are getting a little bit overwhelmed, there is no need to get overwhelmed, because I'm going to explain you how to use all of this. Okay. So the very first thing you will notice is when you come to this screen is you have some of the blue things here and some of the green things here. And if you really notice closely, that these are really all the columns in your Excel file. Okay. So you can do quite a few things here. In front of country code and country name, you will see there is a globe. So it means you can build a map out of this. And if you noticed, we did not put any latitude or longitudes in our original data. We simply had these columns, and there was no map related information. There was only this code and name. Tableau has automatically generated the latitude and longitude for these two columns, and Tableau knows itself out of the box how to put them on a map. Okay. So the next question could be why some of these are blue and why some of these are green. So the concept behind that is that some of these are dimensions and some of these are measures. So measures are the numbers which you can add, which you can subtract, which you can multiply, you can take the average of, and so on. And dimensions are basically the places where you can apply filters, where you can split the data, and so on. So these are the different cuts of the data. For example, if you want to see by something by year. Okay, so this data is split by or cut by year, and what you are really looking at is whatever indicator you put here. So second thing, I will tell you how to rename these columns. So these columns are coming like this, but I think it will be better if we can just rename them. Okay, so this first one is literacy rate. So just right click on it and rename it, and let's call it literacy rate adult female, right? Then we have life expectancy female at birth. So I will not specifically write at birth, otherwise it would be like too long. Maybe I can write somewhere in the notes that this expectancy is at birth. Okay, this is total population. Which one? Work FEZ. Work FEZ. This is wages and salaried workers female. Okay, so wages and salaried female. DYN-TFRT. What is that? TFRT DYN is fertility rate or children birth per women. Right click, rename, and rename it. I think there is one more to go. That is CACT. CACT, yeah. Labor force participation rate female. Labor participation female. Okay, so now we have all of these columns nicely named. We understand what they look like. So I think second thing would be to give them some sort of a default formatting. So if you look at this data, so it doesn't make any sense to put decimal in front of total population. Okay, so I'll just right click on total population, go to the default property and number format, and in the number custom I will just remove all the decimals, and okay, let me show you one more. So fertility rate, I want 2 decimals. Whenever I create any chart or anything, I always want 2 decimals, so I can specify that. So default property number format, just put 2 decimals. And in all of other indicators, I only want 1 decimal. So why I am doing it before starting any visualization is because when you do these kind of things in the starting, so these are sort of best practices. When you do these things in the starting, you don't really have to worry about changing it everywhere in so many charts. You are these become like your default settings. Okay, and this is it. So what kind of charts we want to build? So we want to build a line chart, but there could be little problem. Let me explain you what do I mean by that. So let's say there is a country A and there is a country B. Okay, and country A has a literacy rate of 60% and country B has a literacy of 50%. So we can't really do the sum, we can't really do the addition. So we will have to show all of these numbers separately. So we have to make sure that when we are doing the analysis, we don't accidentally add these numbers up. So we have to make sure that we are always showing the individual data points, and we don't end up doing the summation or additions. So maybe the very first question I want to answer is, in the entire world, okay, in the entire world, when I say that, so that means I want to do the filter of the world. So you just notice, so if I, in the world, what is literacy rate over the years? Okay, so this is the question that we are trying to answer. So there are three things. In the world is a filter. So we have to filter the data. And where is the filter? You see, here is the filter. And just drag the table name to the filter. You will get something like this. So this is a filter. If you scroll down, you will see world written somewhere. So now you have only world data. Okay. Then it asks, what is literacy rate over the year? So now you want to see by year. So that means now you first step was to filter. Second step is to split or divide. So you drag year on the column, Y on the column. So columns are always from left to right. Okay. And rows are always from top to bottom. And if I want my years to go from left to right, so that means I want to put it on the columns. So just put year on the column, and you have all of these years from left to right. And then I want literacy rate. So literacy rate, if the value will be less, it will be at the bottom. If the value will be high, it will be to the up. So literacy rate you want to look at from top to bottom. So it has to go on the row. So anything blue, if you put anything blue on the row or column, it will split. And if you put anything green on the row or column, it will not split. It will rather create a chart. You see, so we get a chart like this. And if you want to change it to the line chart, so Tableau provides you with many choices. So you just go to the show me, and you will see that there are some of the choices which are highlighted for you, and then there are some of the choices which are not highlighted for you. Okay. So what usually happens is that line chart or a trend is created on a continuous scale. So you can, or maybe let me make it easy for you. You just go to the marks. So on the left hand side, you see something called marks, and you see there are 4 or 5 different things here. So there is color, there is size, there is label, etc. So what size will do is, it will, when it's a bar chart, it will change the width. Okay. And in the mark, there is something called automatic, and then there is a drop down. You simply select a line here, and now you have a line chart. Okay. In the context of line chart, what size will do is, it will increase or decrease the width of the line. All right. So that's there. Now, what do we want is, we know that for the literacy rate, there isn't really data available before 1976. So maybe we want to remove those data. So again, we want to use a filter. So we know that we want to do a filter on the year. So let's just do that. So when you will put year on the filter, we can simply remove. You can increase the height. You can just change the font, or so there are so many things you can do to beautify this chart. And we have our line chart. Okay, imagine now we don't want just world, we want, along with the world, we also want low income, high income, middle income, and so on. So that means we want 4 or 5 different categories. So just go to the filter and edit the filter, and you will see, just search in the filter, you can do the searching. So just search for income. Okay, high income, low income, low and middle, lower middle, middle, upper middle. Okay, and just press OK. And you will see immediately this literacy rate has become like 250%, 300%, 500%. The reason is now we have 6-7 categories, 6-7 different categories, and they are all getting added up together. So we don't really want that. So we want one category separately for each of the income group. So probably what we can do is this table name or country name, we can also put on the color. So if we will put it on the color, then this one single line will be split into many lines, and each group will have their own color. So just put it on the color, and you will see now for each of the income group we have a different line. All right, let's say we want to change color of these lines. So just go to the color, edit color, world, we can give maybe black color, some neutral color. Okay, low in and on the right hand side you get this color palette. So for low income, maybe you can choose some oranges shade. Then low and middle, you can choose a little bit oranges. Lower middle, you can choose lesser than that. Then middle, you can choose a neutral color again, but maybe lighter in the shade. For high, you can choose blue. On the right hand side, now you choose blue. Select high income, then put some blue color. Then middle income, maybe some lighter blue, and so on. Upper middle will be this shade, right? So basically you can choose, you can change all the colors, etc. And now we have our line chart. Okay, let's call it literacy trend. We can also instead of having these different categories, we can make it a smooth axis. So to make it a smooth axis, we will just have to convert this into a continuous. So instead of having this as a text, we can have years as a number as well. So if we convert this into number instead of text, then we can make it much more smooth. So just change it to continuous. And now we have a much smooth looking chart because now these years are on a smooth axis, just like this. But now the behavior of the year will change a little bit. So let's just put it on the filter once again. Let's have data only 1975 onwards. Okay. And female literacy rate by, and then we can do a little bit of form. Okay, that's one literacy trend line. Second thing, if we look at our presentation, maybe we want to compare literacy rate with the birth per woman. Okay, and then we want to scatter plot for year 2005. So what we will do, the very first thing is the easiest way is to write a question. Okay. In the year of 2005, what is literacy rate versus fertility rate by country? Okay. So in the year of 2005, we immediately know that we are talking about a filter. What is literacy rate versus fertility rate? So that means we want to do some sort of a comparison. So probably a scatter plot will be a good choice. So this will go on the x-axis, this will go on the y-axis. And by country means we want to split the bubble. Split the bubble. Okay. So always put filter first because it reduces a lot of data. So just go to the year and let's select 2005. Okay. And then we want literacy rate versus fertility rate. So anything which goes from left to right is x-axis, and anything which comes from top to bottom is y-axis. Or in other words, columns are x-axis and rows are y-axis. Okay. So I want literacy rate, or rather, let's not do it for literacy rate. We already have created something for literacy rate. So maybe we want to see fertility rate versus life expectancy of female. So fertility rate I want to see on the y-axis and life expectancy of girl babies. So one of the common question is why a woman will decide to have so many babies. There could be many reasons, but one of the reason could be because life expectancy is not good, or probably you need to give birth to more children in order for some of them to survive. So if the life expectancy is low, then maybe you want to give birth to more children. But if there is a very healthy environment around you and you are sure that your children are going to have a very good health and they are going to live in a very good environment where the survival rate is good, maybe you would not like to have so many children. So this is just a hypothesis. I am not concluding anything here, but just an idea. So let's do that. So in the year of 2005, so always start with writing this statement on the top. It will, make it much more easy for you to create the charts. Always put the filter first. Then what is the life expectancy of girl babies on x-axis? So that is life expectancy female. X-axis means column. And we are going to have only one column because we have not split it by the country yet. So all of the countries and everything is just getting summed up. I believe when we are not doing any splitting by country or anything, I think it's better to take the median. So at least we will have some meaningful number. So just right click on it. And when you will see the measure, you can take the sum, you can take the average, you can take the median. So let's just take the median. It will make much more sense. And fertility rate on the y-axis, again, let's make it median. So the moment you put two green things on column and rows, Tableau knows itself that you want a scatter plot. So if you put one measure here and one measure here, so Tableau understands itself that maybe you are trying to compare these two variables together. So it will automatically create a scatter plot for you. Okay. And now if you split this whole thing by country, so how do you split it into countries? We right now have only one bubble, which is like median of everything in 2005. But now I want it by country. So maybe I want to split it. Okay. So then you have these settings here. So there is a setting called detail. So this detail means whatever visualization you are looking at, how it should be split. So if we just split by country name, so if we put country name on the detail, that means now everything is going to explode at the country level. And there is no meaning that we start our axis from 0 for the life expectancy. Okay, so I know there is a lot of controversy that some people say always start your axis at 0. I disagree with that. So when your measures are additive in the nature, for example sales, for example number of votes, then it always makes sense to start at a 0. Otherwise you are going to show a distorted picture. But when you have at least some baseline, okay, so for example, let's say if you are measuring something which is always starting from 95% and ending at 100%, and if you will start from 0, then those variations will be so little, you will not be able to focus on them. So if it generally makes sense to start at a baseline, so I will say I think we should start at a baseline rather than at the 0, because having a 0 life expectancy is really absurd. So it doesn't really make sense to me. So then how do we shift this axis? So just right click on this axis, go to edit axis, and uncheck this thing called include 0. So when we do not want to include 0, then Tableau is automatically going to shift. And you can see there is like there is a very strong and clear relation between life expectancy of female babies and how many children the women are going to give birth to. Okay, so now we have these marks. So these are called marks. Okay, so these are the marks. We right now these marks are like what do I say, like hollow circles. Okay, if we want we can change them to filled circles as well. So just select circle, you will have filled circles. If you select square, you will have these solid squares. I like to keep them circle. And when we have a chart like this, I also like to give them a little bit of transparency, because so many circles are overlapping each other. So just give a little bit of transparency to them. That's going to be nice. And maybe I want to color these by income groups. So these nulls are actually the geographical totals. Okay, so basically there will be something called world, then there will be so many groups. So the groups which we identified, like there will be one bubble for the Arab world, etc. I don't want those groups to be here. I only want to see the individual countries. So I can just go to the income group and put it on the filter. So just remove. So just select these 4 options. Okay, high income, low income, lower middle, upper middle, and okay. Now we have only countries. There are no groupings or custom groupings available. And you can clearly see the distinction between high income, low income, lower middle, and upper middle. So it's clearly visible, you see. And if you really want, actually, you can have some sort of a, maybe will it make sense to put population on the size? Okay, let's just put population on the size and let the bubble explode. So we see this must be China, this must be India, and then everything else. And now if we increase the size, since the transparency is already set there, so we can see, okay, we are able to see all of these dots. Okay, and can we give them a better color coding? I think that will be nice. Yeah, upper, high income, low income should be orange. Lower middle should be maybe a little yellowish, and upper middle could be something related, something like this, or maybe like this. I don't know. Okay, so now you are clearly able to see the divide. So this, which is this one? This is PRK. Okay, if we can, so there is one more thing called tooltip. Sometimes what do you want is when you hover your mouse on these marks, you want to see additional things. Okay, so that is something which can be controlled in the tooltip. So I don't really have country name right now. Okay, but if I just put country name on the tooltip, I will be able to see the country name now. Which one is this? This is Korea Democratic People's Republic. Okay, which one is this? This is Syrian Arab Republic. Okay, any blue on the top? No. Any red at the bottom? No. Which are these? This is how we have created our scatter plot. Actually, it's a bubble chart because when you create any scatter plot but also add size, technically or theoretically it's called a bubble chart, but still a scatter plot, right? With just size on the bubbles, that's it. So we created one more chart. So we are going to create this horizontal bar chart in the next exercise. Probably I want to see female labor participation and wages and salaried by country in 2005 again. Okay, so in 2005 is again a filter. It has, so let me just search for 2005. I do not want those custom groupings to appear, so I will only select the country data, because if anywhere it is blank, that means it's not a country, it's something else. Then I'm going to put country name over here. Okay, then I'm going to put, so basically now what we want is I want to put these two variables, so labor force participation and wages and salaried workers. Both of these I want to see for every country side by side. So labor force participation, just put it on the column. You will get bars like this. And next to it, I can have, let me take a median of this. So for individual country, it doesn't make sense to take a median, but just to be on the safe side, I still took the median. Then I also want to see wages and salaried females. Okay. And then you can just mouse hover, you can increase the height, etc. And now I want to increase the width a little bit. Okay. All right. So what do I want next? I want to do the grouping of the countries based on the income group. So before the country, I will add one more dimension in the rows. So that means now first we have high income countries grouped together and so on. Okay. If you want, you can put income group on the color as well, and these will be colored. That is also fine. All right. So there is another thing called label. What is this label? So it simply means if you just click on the label and turn it on. You can turn it on or off from show mark levels. So just click on it. So that means now you're going to see the numbers. Okay. And in my opinion, it's not really the best way to sort them alphabetically. This is just the default behavior. Maybe, or first of all, let's not make it too complicated. I'm just going to do it with one. That is labor participation of female. Okay. And there are so many blank entries, so we do not want that. Okay. So far you have seen you can apply the filters from the blue things. That is your dimensions. So you just drag them and you can do the selection and you can filter. But you can also do the filtering on the numbers or on the green things. So you can specify some range, and then within that range, whatever the countries will be, you will be able to see. So let's put the labor participation rate to the filter, and if you put next, so now you will be able to see there is a range, so you can filter between the range. And if you go to the spatial, you will also see something called non-null. So that means you will only see the list of countries which are not blank. Okay, so just click on non-null and okay. And I was talking about that maybe the sorting by alphabet is not really nice way, at least not in this case. So what can we do? Can we sort it based on this value? So just right click on the country name, click on the sort. Then I don't want to do the default sorting. I want to do sorting based on something, or I want to do the sorting based on a field. And this field is labor participation female, and maybe the lowest ones I want to see on the top. So now you see all of these countries are really sorted by labor participation rate. All right. And now I would like to add wage and salaried females to this list as well. So you can see in the Jordan, really less women work, but when they work in the wages and salaried environment. On the other hand, you can see in the Equatorial Guinea, more than half of the women work in one form or other. They are earning, but in the wages and salaried environment, they are not working. They are just working on other labor intensive jobs. They are not working in an environment where they have a regular source of income. They are salaried, etc. So there is a, in China, you see so many women working, but in the wages and salaried environment, only 36%, 7% working. Another crazy example is Tanzania. All of the women are working, nearly all of the women are working, but none of them is working in a wages and salaried environment. So literacy versus no, sorry, expectancy, life expectancy versus fertility. This is my scatter plot, and this is my horizontal bar for employment or for working conditions. All right. For labor market. Let's also create a map. Let's see. Okay. So let's say we have a, first of all, I will remove all non-country records. All right. And now I will show you something interesting. Just double click on the country name. Did it work? Yeah, it worked. So when you double click on any geographical dimension, Tableau will automatically create a map for you. There is one unknown. What is this? Korea Democratic People of Republic. So is it South Korea or North Korea? NPNO. I think that is North Korea, because South Korea, where is South Korea? Not sure. So I'm just simply going to hide it. All right. Now I am going to put population on the size. Okay. And I'll just take median for, and let's just increase it. I want to make it transparent. And then region I'm going to put on the color. So you will see each region has its own color. And I'm going to assign, so just go to click on the color, click on the edit color, and then you can assign any color palette. So I am going to assign hue circle, and okay. Increase the size a little more. And or maybe color, region should not be on the color. Let's put something more meaningful on the color. Let's put what is the KPI that we have still not analyzed? I think there must be one. So literacy rate we have, life expectancy, and fertility rate we have, labor participation. Okay, so let's analyze literacy rates. So we put literacy rate on the color. Okay, and instead of doing a sum, we take a median. Go right click on it, go to the sum, go to the median. Okay, and click on the color. So now you see on the color there is no blue thing. Now on the color there is a green thing. So that means there is a number on the color. So just click on the color and edit color. Now you don't see any color palette or anything. Now you see this kind of color themes. So let's say I want to from orange to blue. I want 8 different colors. So you can specify how many colors you want. And I want to start at 10% and I want to end at 100%. So now you will see that according to the literacy rate, you are seeing this data. But right now, this is a median of all of the 60 years. So that is really not something very interesting. So I want to see, so first of all, the map is ready, right? So if you want, you can just put any year on the filter and you have your map ready. And that's okay. However, if I want to see the journey of all of the years throughout the period of time. So basically, now I want to create an animation. Okay. So what I can simply do is I can put year on the pages. And this is the speed of, so as soon as you put anything on the year, on the pages, so now you will be able to animate it. All right. And this is the speed of the animation. So this is like slow, this is medium, this is fast. So I'm going to put it medium and let's play it. I think the data is not available for all of these years. So that's why there is, I'm not sure actually. Let's put some numbers. Yeah, I think the data is not available. Come on. You see the population is also increasing now. Now, some of the blue dots start to appear. Map by time. Okay. Then what you can do is that you can put all of these things together. So though these are really unrelated things and it doesn't really make a lot of sense to put them together in this way. But if you want, you can put all of these 4 charts together. So instead of adding one sheet, you can add from the second option, you can add new dashboard. Okay. You can have it fixed size. I will make it 1200 pixel by 800 pixel. And I can put all these, I can just throw all of these charts together. And when I want to share it, so to be honest, this is not a very fantastic dashboard. It's just totally 4 random charts put together. But so I'm going to just call it test. And then if we want to save it, so we can simply press on the save button. And then it's going to ask your Tableau public ID and password. So for that, you will have to sign up. So while it saves to the Tableau public, so there are a few things that that you can do from now onwards. Okay, so all of this data and everything, I will be publishing the links to all of these data sets on my Twitter as well as on my Instagram account. So after this talk, maybe after 3-4 hours, you can go to my Instagram and Twitter, and you will be able to download all of these files, data sets, and everything. And after that, I will encourage you that you build your own visualizations. And if you want me to review your visualization, etc., you can either tag me on the Instagram, or you can tag me on my Twitter. And if you publish your visualization till next Sunday, I will be able to provide you the comments, etc. So that's one thing you can do. Second thing is that if you really are keen to learn Tableau, so this Tableau student guide is a really nice and decent place to get started. Another thing is, if you want to are interested not only in the visualization, but you are also interested in the data cleaning activity. So I will show you how I cleaned this data. So this is a software called Alteryx, which is a paid software, but again, free for the students. So this is how I have cleaned my data. So I just put different instructions, and it's all drag and drop based. So you don't really have to do any coding or anything. And then I ran it. And when I ran it, this will export a file to my system with all the clean data. So that's something you might want to check out if you are also interested in the data cleaning activities.